Welcome to Viewing and Reviewing, where I pull older movies off the shelf, watch them, and let you know if I believe they're worth your time to watch or not. I'm Bobby T, your online video store clerk, and I'll be searching through my VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collection to find titles that I think may be interesting to review. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing 1997's L.A. Confidential, directed by Curtis Hanson and starring an all-star cast led by Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, James Cromwell, and Kim Basinger. Let me read you the DVD cover. Director Curtis Hanson and a terrific cast serve up a chilling tale of police corruption and Hollywood glamour in this film of James Ellroy's novel. Three cops played by Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, and Guy Pearce, a call girl played by Kim Basinger, a mysterious millionaire played by David Strathairn, a tabloid journalist played by Danny DeVito, and the chief of detectives played by James Cromwell fuel a plot rife with mystery, ambition, romance, and humor. The film captured Academy Awards in 1997 for Best Supporting Actress for Basinger and Best Adapted Screenplay by Brian Helgeland and Curtis Hanson. And that's it. That's the DVD cover explanation for this multiple Oscar-winning film. So tell me, where's the summary of what we're about to watch? Go ahead. Oh, wait. Yep, folks, the marketing department for this DVD cover sucks. If you weren't watching the trailer right now, you'd never know what this film was about. You wouldn't know it's one of the best neo-noir films of the modern era. You wouldn't know that the star-studded cast bring back the era of the golden age of Hollywood better than most retro films like this one. You wouldn't know it was a violent, profane, glossy view of the underbelly of Los Angeles glamour, where names like Hayworth, Lake, and Garbo provide visions of lovely starlets that are made to entice gentlemen into the sleazy side of the Hollywood crime scene. You also wouldn't know that the Academy Award-winning screenplay is so twisted and thoroughly filled to the brim with snappy one-liners throughout, with throwback sets and equipment and good old-fashioned good cop, bad cop, worse cop moments that are brilliant in context and even better than when viewed as a whole. So here's my summary in a nutshell. Three cops with the distinctly different backgrounds. Russell Crowe has a mean streak and hates women beaters the worst, and he acts as the thug enforcer for the chief of detectives. Kevin Spacey is the slick technical advisor for a Dragnet-type TV show in the 40s and 50s that also gets dirty kickbacks from the local sleaze publisher Danny DeVito to turn up dirt on Hollywood stars. And Guy Pearce as the ambitious young detective overachiever that doesn't care which cops he steps on to further his own career. And those three high-powered lunatics must throw their strong hatred for one another aside to work together on the notorious mob hit slaughter that was the Night Owl Cafe murders that killed one of their own. Throw in a powerful Hollywood pimp, played by David Strathairn very convincingly, who has prostitutes like Oscar-winning actress for this role Kim Basinger dress up or even undergo plastic surgery, way back when, to look like Marilyn Monroe or Lana Turner for fantasy liaisons that are filmed and used for blackmail against their powerful and rich clientele. All happening at the same time as a kingpin mafioso is knocked off, which turns the Los Angeles underworld into a free-for-all concerning the illegal rackets of heroin, booze, and prostitution, where hoodlums from all over the country are appearing all over the place for their piece of the action. Meanwhile, James Cromwell, as the corrupt chief of detectives, is using blunt force cops to intimidate the lowlifes into blowing town before things get completely out of control. It's a tinderbox of greed, lust, viciousness, and anger that gets hotter and hotter the closer the cops get to uncovering the truth about the Night Owl Cafe murders. What's even crazier is the storyline has principal characters getting beaten, maimed, and even killed over a dozen years before Game of Thrones even started thinking of killing their major characters off. I guess this is less review and more just go out and watch it, to those of you that haven't seen it yet, which from what I've experienced in most of mankind, it's no wonder whenever I bring up this excellent film to people with, most of them respond with, you know, I think I might have heard of it, but I haven't seen it. And what a shame. Folks, if you haven't seen this film, do yourself a favor and either rent it, stream it, borrow it, or just click the link below and buy the Blu-ray. You won't regret the purchase. So, I'll get straight to my report card on this. Does it stand the test of time? Yes. A+. This film may be nearly 25 years ago, which is amazing, but it looks as fresh today as it did when it hit the theater. This is a retro neo-noir that is flashy, bright, cheerful, and dangerous. It sets Los Angeles and Hollywood in particular at its all-time most beautiful during the golden age of Hollywood, and even shows actors and actress lookalikes for that flourish of glamour we've sorely missed in our current-day trash being thrown at us from Hollywood that looks glitzy but has zero soul. The story. Well, I've kind of explained the story a moment ago, so all I can do is grade it here. I will give it an A-. Yes, there are some cliches and worn-out tropes we've seen in old-style films, but that's what makes this one better than most. It uses those tropes and gives them an update to show things graphically we weren't able to see in the original 40s and 50s films that were heavily censored back in the day. The story's twisted, sarcastic, mean, and seductive. It's a modern classic by today's standards and very much deserved the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay with its crackling dialogue. The cast. Easy A+. Although the only casting Oscar went to the excellent Kim Basinger, she has nothing on the three polar opposite leads of Crowe, Spacey, and Pearce, who are perfectly cast. Add in the ever-dependable David Strathairn, James Cromwell, Danny DeVito, and a whole slew of actors and actresses you've seen in other films and television, and it's almost like a 90s version of the golden age of Hollywood. It's pretty spectacular. The cinematography. Well, it's hard to pull off a 50s look today without feeling a bit phony. I'll give this an A-, but not for lack of effort. Everything about it looks glorious. The lighting and shadows are perfect. The cars, costumes, the sets are definitely retro LA. The only problem they have is it just kind of looks a little, sterile, I guess would be the word. That's only because they couldn't use 1950s cameras to pull off a quality film in 1997 with the advances in technology. Otherwise, this film did an outstanding job of trying to capture the time of the story. The music. It's straight out of the time the film is set, folks, so it's an A. Not because you need to run out and buy the soundtrack, although if you do like jazz and swing of the era, you'll probably be in hog heaven. But even if you're not, the music sets the mood, and we get a chance to experience Glenn Miller in the era he was still performing alive and well. So, based on the above scores, I'm going to give this film a very solid A rating. I'd rate it a 9 out of 10 on that kind of scale. I know I probably haven't talked a whole lot about plot or given too many details away, and that is by design. This is the kind of film that needs to keep its surprises to make it that much better of a watch. But the DVD cover is a disgrace to not give even a whim of the complex story that untangles the tangled web that they weave of the dark and menacing Los Angeles Police Department, just as they were trying to earn the nickname City of Angels. The acting is spectacular, the sets are gorgeous, the dialogue is snappy, and the violence is unfiltered 90s brutality, and not the watered-down version of the 50s, so we have that to be thankful for as well. So I would give this a high recommendation to those of you noir and neo-noir fans out there. Just don't listen to a throwaway box. You can thank me later. So here are a few other neo-noir recommendations for your viewing pleasure. Chinatown. This is probably the granddaddy of the neo-noir. Written by Robert Towne, this stars Jack Nicholson in arguably his all-time best role as Jack Gittes, a slick, gumshoe private detective that's employed by a mysterious woman to uncover dirt on her husband. But Jack gets in hot water when he realizes he's been put up to it by a con artist, so he starts piecing together a puzzle that has to do with political schemes by powerful men and millions of dollars in 1940s Los Angeles real estate. Second would be Mulholland Falls. Not the overrated Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. Mulholland Falls is a very similar neo-noir from this film about the same time as LA Confidential, with an all-star cast led by Nick Nolte and John Malkovich. Set also in the 1950s, it's about a group of 4 tough, crooked, no-nonsense cops that use every tool in their arsenal of dirty tricks to rid Los Angeles of hoodlums looking to make a name for themselves. But when one of them is linked to a beautiful escort who turns up dead, they pull out all the stops to bury the story and anyone who gets in their way to discover the truth behind the complex web of power and deceit. And lastly, The Nice Guys. I know this film isn't about the 40s or the 50s, but it is a neo-noir set in the swinging 1970s that has that sterilized retro feel in a good way of our subject film here. starring a now pudgy Russell Crowe as an enforcer ex-cop private eye. Actually, this could probably be the burned-out Bud White character he plays in LA Confidential a few decades earlier. Anyway, Russell throttles sleazy and hilarious private dick Ryan Gosling in a glamorized 70s Hollywood murder case that throws these mismatched enemies who become working colleagues into crazy situation after crazy situation where they try to decide who's trying to kill them and who's just being a jerk and needs a knuckle sandwich. It was written by Shane Black, who created the Crackerjack Buddy Lethal Weapon series, as well as the mismatched, underappreciated Robert Downey and Val Kilmer classic Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, another tough guy film worth watching. Well, that's it for LA Confidential. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click the like button below. If you want to keep up to date on my future reviews, please click on the subscribe button below. If you want to purchase LA Confidential on Blu-ray, or you wish to purchase any of the other films that I've mentioned earlier, please follow the Amazon links below. If you have any suggestions for movies you'd like me to review, please leave a comment below, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be sure to help others in need, because it's always the right thing to do. Merry Christmas.